SportsZone. I'm your host, Mackenzie Freeman. And boy, is October my favorite time of the year. We've got NFL, we've got hockey, we've got postseason baseball, and the NBA starts in a few short weeks. But first, we're going to take a look at the Dallas Cowboys. I'm joined by Mason Brennan and John Phillips as we discuss the devastating loss that the Cowboys took on Sunday, 42-10 in California. John, what went wrong?
I think what went wrong mainly is Cowboys aren't a good enough team. They showed that they're a class below the 49ers. They got out-coached. They had a worse running game. Their quarterback was worse. The defense, every single aspect of the game, even special teams, the 49ers outperformed them. They just aren't in that upper echelon of teams.
Mason?
Well, like he said, I think it was mainly on Dak Prescott. I mean, we knew going into the season this was a big prove-it year for him, and so far he had a good season, but going into 49ers, he looks like he doesn't know what to do, and I just think he just didn't have a good game, and if he continues to play like this, it's going to be a tough season for Cowboys.
Yeah, I definitely think that this was just a team that the Cowboys were less talented than. You've got Christian McCaffrey, who's scored 14 games in a row. He's had a touchdown. George Kittle put up his career high, 3 touchdowns in a game, and Brock Purdy is 10-0 in regular season games. Guys, who was the MVP for the 49ers that game?
I think the MVP was Brock Purdy. I was skeptical at first because it's the 49ers. They have so much talent. They have Kyle Shanahan offense, a system quarterback. But he's shown he can make plays out of structure. He can make plays out of the pocket. He showed that he is maybe their quarterback of the future, and his performance against the Cowboys was incredible. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, Mason, who would you take as your MVP?
Like you said, mine would be George Kittle. I mean, he only had 3 catches for like 60 yards, but those 3 catches were 3 touchdowns. And I mean, yeah, you want to have more production, but if you're going 3 for 3 on touchdowns, that's a great game. And I think he's going to be a guy that 49ers fans need to continue to root for because he's going to have a great season this year.
Yeah, and for the Cowboys, I know we hone in on Dak Prescott a lot, but what's next for this offense? CeeDee Lamb didn't do much that game. Tony Pollard didn't do anything. I mean, the Cowboys only had 57 rush yards. What is next for this Cowboys defense? Mason, I'll start with you.
Well, I think it comes down to 2 things, focus and execution. Now, focus, you can always argue, was it there, was it not? We don't know. But execution, that definitely was not there. I mean, we had horrible run game, horrible pass game. Offensive line looked like they were lost. So I just think you need to go back to practice, and McCarthy needs to just say, hey, we didn't perform well, we need to be better. And this is how we're going to be better. And I think it does start with Dak Prescott. And like you said, Pollard, Lamb, they need to step up. And there's other guys that need to step up too. But those are going to be your 3 main offensive weapons, and they need to perform in order to have a successful season.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the season, I had concerns about Tony Pollard as a bell cow running back, and he has not proven me wrong. He's been worse than his past 2 years as the lead running back. The wide receivers, Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup, have been complete non-factors, and CeeDee Lamb hasn't been much better. I think what's next for this offense is beating up on bad teams and getting crushed by good teams. They just aren't very good.
I like that you make that point because the Cowboys still have to play Miami in Miami. They play Buffalo in Buffalo, and they play, obviously, the Eagles, who are still undefeated. How did this loss affect the mindset of the Cowboys, John?
I think it scares them, I think the Cowboys are going to go into these games. Obviously, every NFL player is very confident. That's how they got to that level. But I think they're going to think, wow, are we on this level of the Dolphins? Are we on the level of the Eagles? I think they're going to have a little bit of doubt. And if you have a second of doubt in the NFL, boom, you're done. You're getting blown out. So right. I think it affects the mindset in a really bad way.
Mason?
Well, like he said, I think them going into these games, they're going to have doubt. And they should. I mean, they should look at these games and say, hey, we have not performed to the level that we know we can perform at. And we need to get to that level. And I mean, like you said, Philly, undefeated. Miami's having a great year. Buffalo's having a great year. Another team that I'm looking forward to playing the Cowboys next week is the Chargers. I mean, they've been having a great year. Herbert's been having a great year. Khalil Mack just had a career game again, and I just think that the Cowboys, they need to look to get better both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, speaking of defensively, we saw Micah Parsons get shut down in the Cardinals game, resulted in the loss. Saw him get shut down up against the 49ers. Is he the key for other teams beating the Cowboys, is shut him down on defense? Mason, I'll start with you.
Well, I think, yes, you want to stop a guy like Micah Parsons. I mean, he has Defensive Player of the Year potential, but I also think it's on the Cowboys defense to find someone else. I mean, you got Lawrence, you got Van Der Esch, you got Gilmore, you got guys that can make plays and they haven't really been able to make plays. And whenever your lead defender is getting double teamed, triple teamed, you got to look for someone else to execute better. And that's been a problem for the defense this year.
Right. Sucks to see the Cowboys lose, but as temperatures begin to cool, I think it's time that we take a look at what's going on the ice. Stay with us.
All right, look up here. 1, 2, 3.
Mom, Dad, I got it. You're right, Mom. I have.
Welcome back into SportsZone. I'm joined by Matthew Wagner and Steven Lucero as we discuss the NHL debut today. We've got one game going on right now, but before we get into that, which teams made the best moves in the offseason? Matthew, I'll start with you.
Personally, for me, I'm going to go Toronto Maple Leafs, right? Because here's what they did. They added grit and sandpaper. They added Ryan Reeves. They added Tyler Bertuzzi. They added former star Max Domi. And they added former star John Klingberg. I mean, that's depth. This is a team that has been struggling with depth. And this is a team that I'm excited to see what they do. They got over the hump of the first round. Now they're trying to go deeper. I can't wait to see what they do.
Steven, your thoughts?
So for me, it's the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think they're a team, obviously one of the oldest teams in hockey. It's win now. It's, you know, your stars, Crosby, Malkin, they're not getting any younger. So I like the all-in move going for Erik Karlsson. I mean, Morris, a defenseman, he's been incredible. Obviously, kind of a bounce-back season last year. It revitalized everything he's done so far. But I like they're going all in. The goalie, Tristan Jarry, I think, it's a 5-year extension. Some people might question it considering injury. But to me, I like that they're going all in because now's the time to win.
For agree, and I like the pickup of Riley Smith, that replaces that Jason Zucker, who did end up going to Arizona. I love to see what he can do, especially with that. Again, he's an older core, especially with Jeff Carter. I can't wait to see what he does.
Absolutely.
It's interesting because we all have different teams here. I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche. I really like them signing Ryan Johansson from Nashville. Nashville's obviously been one of those teams that has made noise. The last couple of years, it'll be interesting to see how he will assist Mäkinen. But let's get into the games that are currently happening today. There's one going on right now. That is the Predators at the Lightning. Guys, who did y'all have winning this game? Steven, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so it's kind of a toss-up. I think, the Lightning are obviously the more, historic team as of recently winning these cups. But I actually had the Predators for the upset. I think they are going to miss Vasilevsky this year. Obviously, he's hurt, going to be missing at least, a considerable amount of the season. So we'll see how they can make up with that because they do still have a very deep team.
Yeah, I agree. I have to go with the Predators as well because their goaltender currently has not played more than 35 games in a season, unfortunately for the Lightning. But hey, you never know, right? So, but right now the Lightning are up 1-0, and again, that offense for the Lightning is just potent, and you got to be careful with
Absolutely.
them. So I think, but adding with the Predators, you still have Ryan O'Reilly. That's such a good center depth too. So maybe the Predators can come back here in the second period. But you never know.
I disagree with you guys. I've got the Lightning, and it's not because you told me the score. I swear I had it down before. But getting into the second game, the Blackhawks are facing the Penguins. Crosby versus Bedard, guys, a really exciting game. Who do y'all have taking that one? Matthew?
I got the Penguins. I mean, I know everyone talks about Bedard and his hype, and I think the hype is real. I agree. However, I don't see him having that many co-stars besides Taylor Hall, whereas you have the leadership of, as you said before, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and now Carlson. I think it's going to be too much for the Blackhawks to handle.
Steven?
Yeah, for me, I got to go with my off-season winner as well in the Pittsburgh Penguins. To me, the Blackhawks, they're built for the future. Right now, they're just not quite there yet. Connor Bedard is a stud. I mean, he could be one of the best players of this generation.
I mean, he was getting compared to Wayne Gretzky.
Absolutely, if he pans out, but it's going to take some time. They're going to keep having to build. Right now, it's just a thin team. They're built for the future, just not quite right now.
Right. And quickly, who do y'all have for the Kraken at Vegas Golden Knights?
I'm going to go Kraken for the upset because what I saw against the Stars last season in the playoffs, I thought they had a deep team. Matty Beniers was really, really good for them. Oliver Bjorkstrand, the former Columbus Blue Jacket, showed a lot of promise. I think they have the chance of an upset because Vegas is still that championship contender, but is that playoff rust kind of still, that championship rust still kind of there? We're going to find out.
Yeah, so battle of the new teams, right? I think both teams are, really in a good spot. Both came along a lot quicker than anyone expected. Obviously, the Golden Knights going to the Cup in their first year, finally winning it this year. I do think they get the win tonight. Just coming off that Stanley Cup high, I think they make it happen and get the win for their home fans.
And I think it's time for us to look local as we discuss the Dallas Stars. Guys, what were some of those good moves that you think the Stars made in the offseason? Matthew?
Yeah, no, I'm a big Stars fan right now, so as you can see my jersey here. I know, my Robertson jersey. But honestly, I love the addition of Sam Steele from the Minnesota Wild because he had 28 points in 65 games last year, right? That's more than Fosca had all season, which is kind of scary. But he's a great young player. He adds depth. And adding that with Craig Smith, that fourth line could be very, very good for the Stars.
Well, even Matt Duchene being there now, I mean, he'll add depth to the Stars squad.
Yeah, so for me, I agree. Craig Smith, Sam Steele, two really good depth, sneaky moves, cheap contracts. But for me, yeah, I do got to go with Matt Duchene. Obviously, was bought out by the Predators. I think they got him for pretty, solid, just 1 year, $3 million. I think he has a lot of upside, and with a really strong Stars lineup, I think he's going to have a chance to shine.
No, I agree. And I think one thing I will mention real quick was the top line for the Stars, right? They combined for 261 points last season. That's over 55% of all scoring for the team. That had to change because with Duchene, hopefully that takes a little burden off them. And the thing with Logan Stankoven, who did not make the team, was sent down the AHL. They're going to let him marinate down the AHL a little bit before someone maybe hopefully gets injured or they call him up so he gets a chance to shine.
Well, the Stars certainly have made moves to become a playoff caliber team, but there is a Dallas team still currently in the playoffs doing really well. When we come back, we'll discuss the Texas Rangers.
Can I see your voter registration, please? All right, you're good. No registration, no entry. All right. Let me see your voter registration card, please.
I'm not registered to vote.
No registration, no entry.
Dude, my friends are already in there.
No registration, no entry.
What the?
Join the club. Register to vote today.
Has the weight of stress and anxiety ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in? Wish granted. At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
It's that time of year where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
Welcome back into SportsZone. I'm your host, Mackenzie Freeman, joined by Simeon Formwell and Austin Fernandez. As we discuss the Texas Rangers, let's take a look about a week ago. They sweep the Tampa Bay Rays. Was that expected? Austin, I'll start with you.
A sweep? No, I was not expecting it even a little bit. I mean, that was the second highest scoring offense in the American League. And the fact that we held them to one run in both games that we played, I was absolutely shocked, flabbergasted, befuddled, and I loved it, really.
Simeon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, living in Dallas, you would hope that we would win, right? But a sweep, no, wasn't in the books for me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think the Rangers were going to sweep them. They were 4-2 against the Rays in the regular season. Going into this, I thought, maybe a 2-1 Rangers win. But obviously, that didn't happen. Who was the MVP of the Rays series for the Rangers? Simeon?
I would have to say Evan Carter. I mean,
the guy's a stud.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he was just consistent getting on base in game one. He was 2 for 2. He got walked twice. And then game two, he had that 2-run home run. I mean, he was just swinging it. That's my MVP.
Austin, your MVP?
MVP means most valuable player, but I'm changing it to most valuable people because that bullpen was so good. I mean, especially game one against the Orioles, to hold them to 2 runs when our offense, was a little dry, only got 3 runs, and the fact that we held them to 2, and like I said with that Tampa Bay series, 1 run, dude, they were so good and really impressive, especially Eovaldi.
Yeah, I definitely like that you point out the pitching because I think that was one thing they did in the Rays series that they are continuing in the Orioles series. Would y'all agree?
Yeah. I mean, the pitching against the Rays has been amazing. And then coming into the Orioles series, it's definitely been up to par so far. So.
Yeah, it's just hard to say. It's hard to deny their success so far. Yeah. I mean, game 2 against the Orioles was a little suspect, but they've just been playing super solid lately. And something that, one of their biggest knocks going into the postseason was how inconsistent, especially that bullpen having 39 blown leads, 5 of them coming in the ninth. So it's just really, it was really good to see coming from that bullpen, especially the relievers.
So obviously the Rangers are up 2-0 right now up against the Orioles, and they'll be playing at home tonight, big game 3. They possibly can sweep the Orioles. Do you guys think they can do it?
Yes, I think they can. As long as Eovaldi can continue what he did against game 2 against the Rays, I think he definitely can tonight. I mean, it's at home. Our bats are always hot at home. So if we're going to sweep them, I mean, now's the time. So.
Right, Austin?
Definitely. I'm also going to say yes, and I'm going to, bounce off that batting at home because our bats have been hot lately, especially this last game that we played, putting up, double-digit 11 on the Orioles. And, I feel like with the Rangers, once one batter gets hot, it ignites the whole lineup. And that's all it takes is one. Josh Young, Evan Carter, Garcia, Marcus Semien. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, they're so good in that lineup. It's just super. They just got to be consistent. They can do that, sweep tonight.
And then what do the Rangers need to do to get that win tonight? Simeon?
Well, I mean, the Orioles don't have the pitching to stop our bats, so we just need to consistently get on base. The Orioles tonight, the expected starter is Kremer, and he has given up the most home runs and the most walks on their roster. So if we can shut them down early, get them off the field early, force them to use a lot of their bullpen, I think we can just keep on going, just keep the bats consistent, and then have Eovaldi continue that momentum into this series.
Yeah, I'm going to say, continue to play that complimentary baseball that I feel like they've been playing. And I feel like we definitely saw game 1 and 2 of the Orioles series. In game 1, we only got 3 runs. And, that's not a lot. Definitely can lose a game like that. But our pitching was outstanding. It was really good. And then in game 2, gave up 8 runs, but we scored 11. Hit a grand slam, Mitch Garver. So as long as they keep playing complement to each other, the offense and the defense, I definitely think they can run away with this.
And let's get into the Orioles a little bit. Do you think their youth is the reason that the Rangers have been able to come in and basically blow them up 2-0?
I wouldn't necessarily say so. If you're going to say that, I say maybe game 2, just because the rookie Grayson Rodriguez, I mean, we went down 0-2 in the first inning, and then the second inning, he let up 5 runs. So if you're going to say that they are losing because of their youth, it would be right there where they lost all of their momentum, but I wouldn't say so. I don't think so.
Austin?
I'm also going to say no, just because if their youth was an issue, they wouldn't have had 100+ wins in the regular season. Also, it was that youth that even got them on the board to begin with in that second game against the Rangers, so I don't really think that their youth is an issue.
And then quickly, since there is a game tonight, what are y'all's score prediction? Austin, I'm going to start with you.
I'm going to say 6-3 Rangers.
Okay, I like that one.
I'm going a little close now. I say 7-5 Rangers.
I like those. Those are both great scores. I'm going to go 5-3 Rangers win. And over here, we're hoping to see another Grand Slam by the Rangers. And speaking of Grand Slam, we're going to take a dunk into the NBA in-season tournament when we come back.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell and I'm joining you here today in the Union Parking Garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my god, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my god.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our mean green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
And welcome back to SportsZone. I'm joined by Isaiah Ortiz and Jalen Alexander as we dip into the NBA season. Starts off in 2 weeks, but we're going to talk about the in-season tournament. Guys, what are your initial thoughts on this tournament? Isaiah, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I really think this is an attempt for Adam Silver to really expand the game to another international level. You look at clubs and international teams, like in Spain and France, they have tournaments like this all the time. And I really think it's a way for Adam Silver to say, guess what, we have this too. Why not watch the NBA?
Right.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. Whenever I first saw it, I kind of had mixed emotions towards it. But the more research I did on it, I was thinking this might honestly be the best thing that the NBA could have done for the next upcoming years.
Yeah, I'm personally not the biggest fan of it. I just think it's an attempt for the NBA to try to get more views, which I'm not mad about, but I think you already have the play-in tournament. You already have the actual championship tournament. And I think the only teams that are going to care about this tournament are going to be the teams that actually can't get a ring. Charlotte Hornets, the Pelicans, you know, some of those other, maybe even the Spurs, just young teams. Do you guys think that this will give teams more incentives to win?
Yeah, I do think this caters towards the young teams specifically. Like you mentioned, the Spurs, the Thunder are another one who really want to build themselves up a resume going into their rebuilding years and really prove to these teams like, hey, we can win too. And the in-season tournament is our showcase to do that.
And I agree. I think it definitely gives teams more incentives to win. It kind of makes the regular season matter in a way to teams, especially whenever you see guys who don't play as much. They might play more in the regular season. It even incentivizes players to even show up whenever they get $500,000 for winning, even $200,000 for just losing the last game.
So do you think that this will improve the NBA then?
I think this will improve the NBA for just later years because it'll definitely have teams, you know, like you said, Charlotte Hornets, the Detroit Pistons, the San Antonio Spurs trying to be able to just up and come in things like the regular season so they can try to get to the final goal, which is the postseason and the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree a little bit just because it's up in the air for me. Like we mentioned, the young teams have a much larger incentive, right? That $500,000, they're on rookie contracts, so it's really just a bonus that really is a lot to them. But for NBA superstars like LeBron, Kevin Durant, these guys make $60 million a year.
Right.
So what is an incentive for them to really go out and play for $500,000 for really not even a real ring?
Right, and basically how this in-season tournament works is all 30 teams were randomly placed in 6 groups of 5. This tournament will start on November 3rd, and they're regular season games that just count towards the tournament. It lasts until November 28th, and then 8 teams, all the leaders of the groups will go into the next round, and then 2 wild card teams. The championship will be on December 6th. Guys, which team do you think has the best chance of winning this tournament?
You know what? I know I mentioned the young teams, but I'm going with the Golden State Warriors for one reason and one reason only. Chris Paul will get his first ring. The in-season tournament ring is Chris Paul's time to finally raise up some sort of trophy.
You think people will stop hating on him when he gets that?
No, definitely not.
I think it'll become the meme of the year.
In-season tournament CP3 on the way.
I most definitely think it'll be an Eastern Conference type of team. I think it'll be the Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks. But a group I'm excited about is definitely Group F. Like you said, you got Golden State, Sacramento, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio. But I think one of the teams that really come out of them, I got to disagree with you. I think it's Minnesota. I think that Anthony Edwards kind of takes a big step this year. Even though he's already really good, I think he takes an even bigger step this year.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at our local team, the Dallas Mavericks, as they're in a group with the Nuggets, and some other teams. Do you guys think the Mavericks will be able to compete in their group?
I think so. Anytime you have top-tier talent like Luka and Kyrie, you can compete for something. But like we've mentioned, I just don't know the incentive for them to go out and win an in-season tournament. If their season has gone awry in any sort of way, I do think that's when they could turn it up and say, this is the turning point for us to really make an impact and compete. But right now, I don't see it.
Right.
Most definitely. I have the Denver Nuggets winning this, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they split games with the Pelicans, the Nuggets, and the Lakers. They went 3-1 versus Houston last year. Overall, 9-7 in this group play last year. But I think this year, if they can really come together, they can honestly probably even do better than they did last year. Maybe even put together a fight against Denver.
Yeah, I think with the addition of Irving, I think that'll take a little bit of pressure off of Luka and help, that chemistry build up, those two being the leaders of the team. What's your number one concern with this tournament?
My number one concern is just that I feel like it takes away from the value of the playoffs, because I don't want players to kind of put all of their willing into the regular season, and then a team could go out there and play their heart out during the regular season and not make the playoffs but win the cup. So that's just my main concern.
Yeah, my number one concern has to be teams like the Clippers and the Heat, their own incentive, considering that they always deal with injuries to their star players in the regular season. So I just don't know how competitive teams like that are going to be when really they're playing for the NBA Finals and not the in-season championship.
Yeah, definitely some mixed emotions over here on SportsZone about this NBA in-season tournament. But thank you guys for watching. Be sure to follow us on our socials at NTTV Sports, and be sure to keep your TVs rolling as we have nightly news coming on in just a couple minutes.